8, 10. Is there any questions on yesterday's worksheet?
Yeah, he sent it in. I have pictures of it.
Oh, all right.
I love it.
Thank you. You can get anything you want. Anybody else? 8, 10. Alright. Alright, so today we're talking about ethers.
Isn't that flammable?
Huh?
Isn't it flammable?
They are flammable. Some are. A lot of organic compounds are flammable. These are very flammable. Okay, this is not what I want. Ethers have 2 hydrocarbon chains. So there's like 2 separate pieces. Each attached to an oxygen. So they're attached to, there's an oxygen in the middle, and you got two chains of carbons attached, one on each side, to the same oxygen. So the generic form of that would look like this. Here's your oxygen. You got one R group, which can be 1 carbon, 2, 3, 4 with its hydrogens, and then another R group over here. All right, to name it, name both R groups in alphabetical order. And you name them like they're side chains or substituents. So name them as if they are substituents. So like we did yesterday where you got like a side chain of carbons coming off of something. That's how we're going to name these. So I'll explain in a second. Alright, so let me draw one and we'll take a look and see how we're going to name it. So here's one example. Okay, so this is an ether. Do you want me to draw this the old way too?
Yeah.
Okay, so here, if you look at this, right, it helps if you put little circles, right? So you can see this is a carbon and this is a carbon. There's no carbon here because this bond is attached to the oxygen. So it's just 2 carbons.
So that's the side chain?
That's one side chain. And then the other one, we treat that like a side chain also. And that's got 3 carbons. 1, 2, 3. Remember, no carbon there. This is attached to the oxygen. Okay.
There isn't any hydrogens on the oxygen.
No, because oxygen only makes 2 bonds, and since it's got 2 carbons attached to it already, this carbon and this carbon, then you're not going to have any hydrogens. Alright, so there we are, same drawing twice. And so what we need to do is we treat the oxygen as if that's the center, and these 2 are both the side chains. So the one on the left, what will we call this? Well, that's going to be called ethyl. Alright, ethane, ethyl, so one side chain is ethyl. What's this other side called? Propyl. There's 3 carbons. Alright, so this is your ethyl here, this is your propyl here. And so now, if we were to name this, we do alphabetical. There already happen to be an alphabetical, so it's going to be ethyl, propyl, ether. Yeah. I don't know much about this particular compound. The next one I'll show you.
Hold on, take it easy.
You going too fast?
Yes.
Okay. And if we wanted to write the formula, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C5, 12 hydrogen, H12, and O. So they're going to be the same kind of formula as alkanes with an O on the end. So they're really the same as like alcohols. The only thing is, if you there's certain side groups that change the formula. But for most of these, it's going to be double the number of carbons plus 2. Right? 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. All right, let's do a couple more. Can I erase this part? All right, I'll just give it to you. Okay. All right, so let's do this one here. All right, now I'm not going to draw this one the old way. I want you guys to start getting used to the new way. So you got to think to yourself, there's a carbon here and a carbon here, carbon here and carbon here. So what do you think we're going to call this? Yep, exactly. There's 2 ethyls, so rather than say ethyl-ethyl, we're just going to say diethyl. So that's
and
ethyl.
everything ends in ether.
Everything ends in ether. Diethyl ether. Now the other thing is I want you to be able to look at these things and just come up with a formula without writing the old way. You know what's there. There's a carbon here. There's a carbon there. There's a carbon there. There's a carbon there. So it's C4. This carbon gets 3 hydrogens. This carbon gets 2 hydrogens. That gets 2, that gets 3. That's H10. Add them all up. And there's 1 oxygen there. Go. So you should be able to look at the skeletal structure and be able to tell how many carbons and hydrogens there are. Again, if you can't, write it out the old way. Right? All right, one more I have to show you, and we'll throw something new in here. So let's do whatever that is, and then this.
Oh, how?
That's not completely unfamiliar.
I don't understand anything. Okay, hold on. Give me a second to go back in my notes to see what the color thing is. Okay. That is 1, 2, 3, 4.
Say it.
I don't how do you say the last one?
Say it. Butyl, yeah.
Butyl cyclohex.
So we're not going to call it that. Yeah, so this is 1,3,5 cyclohexene, also known as benzene. Unfortunately, we don't call it benzyl, which would make sense. It would be consistent with the naming system. Instead, when you see a benzene ring and it's a side chain, we call it phenol. Why? I don't know. We just do. I don't make the rules. I just enforce them. So butyl phenol. This is butyl. This is phenol. Ether. Now the phenol one you'll see now more and more as it comes up. For the formula, when you see these little benzene rings here, the formula is going to be different, right? Because this thing, what you have is you have an oxygen attached to a ring, right? So let me draw it out for you. 1, 2, 3. So normally if we have a benzene ring, each carbon gets a hydrogen, right? But because it's attached to this oxygen, this one doesn't get any hydrogens at all. So really it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hydrogens. So when we do the formula, this side is going to be C6 and H5, right? And then we got to add the stuff on this side. This side we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So total is going to be C10, 6 on this side and 4 on that side. And then hydrogens, there's going to be 3, 2, 2, 2. That's 2, 4, 6, 9. And the 5 over here is H14. Did I do that right? I hope so. 3 hydrogen on that carbon, 2, 2, and 2. So that's 9, yeah, 14. So if you forget, right, you can write it out the old way. Carbon, carbon, carbon. No, butyl is 4, right? So 9 hydrogen on this side, 5 on that side, that's 14. Oh, and there's an O at the end, right? Obviously. So again, this is this, right? All right, questions? Complaints? All right. Let's do one where I give you the name, and then we'll draw it, and then we'll be finished. So let's do butyl ethyl. Actually, I didn't do any ethyl. We'll do ethyl. Ethyl ether. Okay, so you know there's going to be an oxygen in the middle because it's an ether. Okay.
And then you're gonna put
4. So this doesn't count when I put my marker down because that's the bond to the oxygen. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Put little circles if you forget. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing there.
2.
And 1, 2. So 1, 2. So this is my butyl here, 4 carbons. This is my ethyl, that's 2 carbons. So there it is.
Do you have to put the dots in?
No, I'm putting the dots just in case people don't know. You don't have to put the dots.
Are you gonna give us any other worksheet with that? Like,
Yeah. Other questions? All right, there's 2 questions at the end of the worksheet. They're on pages 736 and 737. Please write that down. Otherwise, I'm going to do this 12 times.
see, the picture that picture you want from that worksheet. This is the worksheet that go in the book.
All right, Jose.
No.
Thank you, dear.
What page number is this?
736 and 737.